The recruiting is over, commitments have been made, transfers decided, practices are in motion, games are slated, bowl games have unknown participants with a national champion uncrowned. But to play like a champion, you need to talk like a champion. Welcome back, Irish Nation. Glad you guys could join us for the regular season finale preview show of Talk Like a Champion. I am, of course, Mr. CeeLo here, back with you guys again, chatting with you for the finale as well. Between your Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Stanford Cardinal. Hey, rivalry that dates back a long time. It's basically one of those academic rivalries, if you will. Stanford hasn't really been relevant since the Jim Harbaugh era. Well, here we are in the regular season finale, and the Irish at 8-3 face off against a Stanford Cardinal team and at Palo Alto, and honestly, this is a team that can hurt a lot of people in a lot of ways. And they're deceptively bad. And the reason why I say they're deceptively bad is because let's look at, they just beat Wazoo 2 weeks ago. And the Cal game was very close considering they were playing at Berkeley. They were playing home. They're very good. They're very competitive at home. This is the same team that gave fifth ranked, now currently fourth ranked Washington a dogfight. They only lost that game by 9 points, and they went to Colorado, Boulder, and beat Deion Sanders' Colorado Buffaloes. And they pulled out a win against Hawaii. So we're not looking at a absolute horrendous team. Matter of fact, they've got a better record than Deion's Buffaloes. Just to keep. So, well, let me rephrase it. They got a better conference record. So, right now, Stanford sits at 3 wins on the season, and 2 of those wins came in conference. So they're a better conference team than Colorado is, but let's not beat up Deion too much. I'm a firm believer that Notre Dame should come out and dominate this game. The question is Jared Parker going to keep rolling things along? And this is what hurts me more than anything. We didn't score anything in the Ohio State game. Notre Dame is on a historical pace, averaging 37.5 points a game. The program's highest figure since 1968. Over 55 years ago, that was the mark. The offense is averaging 6.83 yards a play. That's second all time in the history of Notre Dame football, and 10th nationally this season. This is what makes this so disappointing. Is the 3 losses that didn't happen, and I'm gonna say it's a huge part because You change your game plan based on who you're playing. There's your blueprint right there, Jared Parker. You can't have your quarterback worry about, oh, well, they're not letting us do this. They're not allowing us to do this. Most of the time, unless you're like the LSU Joe Burrow LSU Tiger team, where teams know that's what you want to do. But the reality of it is, in order for them to do that, they got to play two safeties back. They can't cheat those linebackers. And that's when you have to use play action pass. Jared Parker, this is something we have not seen at Notre Dame in a long time. Play action pass. When you got a back like Audric Estime, when Louisville wants to do what it does, send that many guys. And then here's another thing. On 3rd and long, why is it we don't run draw plays? People will sit there and say, oh, that's boring. Don't we got Jeremiah Love? The guy's fast as I don't know what. When you get these guys just zooming up the field, undisciplined, leaving gaps, stick his butt out there and let him gash. What's the worst thing it can happen? All these guys are dropping back into coverage. You get guys like Colsey, Merriweather, Greathouse, Flores. These guys with just blistering speed, or better yet, put one of these tight ends out there. Put a Holden Stays out there. Get these guys to drop back and pass, and then these tight ends whatnot take off up the field and then hand it off. Hand it off. What's it going to cost you? I honestly think at this junction, I don't see much going as far as Stanford goes. They've given us some problems. Of course, we all know the history of last season and what it cost us last year as far as embarrassing and so on and so forth. But the reality of it is, we have to close this out, and I think we will. I think Sam Hartman's going to go out with a bang, and I think ultimately what's going to happen is the Irish are going to go big time, and this game will be I think it'll be another blowout, and they'll add to that mark of how many points they've scored. And I think Sam Hartman goes out with a bang, and I think a lot of people are going to say, Hartman's good, but he's not elite stuff. And I think Estime puts on a big show. I honestly think Merriweather gets another bomb in this game. I think Greathouse has another good game. I think we blast into the future. I think Flores has another big game. Hopefully, I'd like to see Jaden Thomas and possibly see maybe Deion Colsey again. We don't know his status as far as playing again. I would like to see him, but he's been out since late September with a knee injury that he struggled with after the first game. We saw how impressive he was in the first game, and he's been totally non-existent. And you don't want to see that, and because you've got a big body and this great player, and you want to be able to put him out there on the field with those other weapons that we have. And I'm just of the the mindset that this guy's a great player. We don't need to sit here and put this guy on what I like to call a bad-natured discussion. We need to give him a shot and do what we need to do. But here's the thing about Stanford. Stanford is really an unorthodox football team. I mean, you've got two quarterbacks that lead the team in rushing, in Ashton Daniels and Justin Lamson. Both of these guys are up over 250 yards rushing. Both of these guys, now, if you had to pick which one of these two was the better passer, of course, you're going to look at Ashton Daniels. Ashton Daniels is going to be the guy that's the more complete passer. But you look at him, and it's just like, he's been sacked 23 times, as well as Justin Lamson being sacked 14 times. And honestly, it got 2 or 3 good wide receivers that if they wanted to transfer, you'd be like, hey, what's going on? Because you got a guy in sophomore Alec Iomaner. Sorry, I'm saying your name wrong. But I remember watching him. What game was I watching? I remember watching it on TV, and I was thoroughly impressed with him because he had a monster game. It was the Washington game. 9 catches, 146 yards, and a score. And he had a 53-yard bomb. And even in the Oregon State game, I saw the highlight on this. I didn't watch the game. He had 3 catches, 122, and he had a 75-yard touchdown reception. And this guy, it has playmaking ability. He really does. I wish I could say his name. But on the season, he's got 55 receptions, 955 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Now, I'm hoping, Morrison, Hart, don't let this cat go crazy on us. But, I mean, looking at this Stanford Cardinal team, they really don't have, they have a lot to be desired as far as what they do. And, it's just one of those where you don't want to get embarrassed in the finale. And Stanford's going to be up. They're going to want to play spoiler, as they know Notre Dame's going to possibly a good time bowl, possibly a good bowl, and they're not. But, we just have to make sure that we don't allow them to play spoiler and get out there and do what we do. As for Estime, he's over 1,100 yards rushing. Did not get nominated for the Doak Walker Award, but you still got Morrison out there trying to do his thing and possibly win the top DB award or cornerback award, as well as Xavier Watts, who could possibly be a guy who wins the Thorpe Award, if you will, and possibly the Bednarik Award, if you think about it, with his league-leading, his 7 interceptions, I think it is. And, we just want to go in and give this season a slam the door shut on 2023 the right way, finish at 9-3, and possibly knock out a very good bowl, and see if we can't get some momentum going into next season, because that's really going to be the most important thing, and trying to get recruiting up, because we've got a lot of guys. Yes, Xavier Watts, as I said, has 7 interceptions, and you just don't get any better than that. And it's just frustrating to see what we had over this year, and it just did not materialize into what we wanted. And a lot of this, as good as the defense was, we only accumulated 23 sacks this year, and that's, and for me, Howard Cross was so good this year. For him to only have 1 sack, he was really good this year. Same with Riley Mills. He only ended up with a sack and a half, and he was really good. But yeah, overall, it's a disappointing season, but we need to finish it strong. And outside of that, guys, before we get ready to get out of here, I want to pass along a little bit of good news. Definitely want to give a shout out to our guys for really playing well against Wake Forest, but we also want to let people know that we have knocked down a top cornerback in the 2025 class. His name is cornerback Cree Thomas, verbally committed. And he's the 9th commit of the class. He's ranked number 44 cornerback in the 398 overall recruit in the 2025 cycle. He's 6'1", weighs 175. And, you look at that size, looks awfully impressive. And looks like he wears Benjamin Morrison's number. So, yeah, this is a very, very very good look at the 2025 recruiting class, where we can possibly make some noise and keep that secondary push going, because our safeties were really a weakness until Xavier Watts finally came to the party, and he came to a party big time. But let's look at we had another commit in the 2024. Cam Williams, who attended the Irish's win over Wake Forest, will be one of the many players that could possibly revolutionized the wide receiver position. He also committed. What has happened is you got CJ Carr coming in, and he's also one of the guys that he was throwing the football to in high school. And as I'm reading here, these two guys will also be, early graduates, and they will be on campus early. And he's going to re-enroll in January. So yes, he will definitely be here for spring practice. And this is absolutely wonderful news now that you have CJ Carr on hand. That this is, to me, is huge. It's going to be a phenomenal thing because if we got somebody that he's okay with, this is going to be big, because when you can get a quarterback whose number one guy is also coming to college with him and he's already got a report, this is going to be huge. But back to my prediction, I think Notre Dame wins this game 45-6. I think this is going to be a dominating performance, and Notre Dame just obliterate Stanford physically, speed-wise, and I think this is going to be one of those games where Steve Angeli gets a ton of playing time after I would say about halftime, if you will, and they're going to run a lot of play action, have his back to the defense, and I think ultimately this is going to be a possible audition for Steve Angeli to see how he handles the first team, if you will. And ultimately, I think it's going to give him a leg up on C.J. Carr and Kenny Minchey for next season. But as I said, we'll just have to see. I still think Stanford falls big time. They're going to give us a fight probably the first quarter, and then it gets ugly early. But I think we close the season out on a win and get ready for the bowl game. And it puts a wrap on the 2023 regular season. So, guys, make sure you go to the Facebook page and the YouTube channel and check out the other shows that we have, and comment, if you will. Thank you so much for sticking with us during the year. And as I said before, until the next time, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.